to actually decide to attend the National Pupillage Fair. For anyone considering the bar, highly recommend this. It gave me a lot of insight into the profession. I got to meet barristers, I met with different chambers. It was held at Middle Temple, so you get to see the inns of courts, and it's all very enchanting. And I remember leaving thinking, this is what I want to do with my life. This is the career that I wanted to pursue. And ever since then, without knowing it, my journey to the bar had begun. Guys, it's nice to have you back on the channel. If you're new here, my name's Taz and I'm a barrister based in the UK. For free materials, check out my website. And if you want to support the channel, then make sure to like and subscribe. It really does encourage me to continue developing the channel. I'm really excited to announce today that as of a couple of weeks ago, finally, after 5 hard years, 5 cycles of grafting, drafting application, attending first and second round interviews, getting thrown in the bin after every interview. Honestly, the rejection's like the air I breathe. It's nice to announce that as of September next year, I'm going to be starting pupillage for the Crown Prosecution Service. Those of you who don't know, pupillage is the final stage of training that you need to become a fully practising barrister at the Bar of England and Wales. And to celebrate the moment, today I'm launching a pupillage series, video series, where we're going to be breaking down the process episode by episode in what will be called Bridge to Pupillage. I want to give you a bit of background about myself just so that you know where I've come from and how I ended up getting to the bar. And I think it's important because anyone thinking of applying, there is this myth that you need to be perfect from the beginning. You need to have the top grades from the very start. And that's not where I came from. Year 9, doing my year 9 SATs, I was predicted bottom grades for pretty much everything. And it's because I wasn't applying myself. I had a conversation with my maths teacher and he said, look, you need to start upping your game. You need to actually start caring. And that switched everything for me, because year 9 onwards, I got the grades that I needed to actually sit the higher papers in GCSE. I ended up doing relatively well in my GCSEs. Went on to do my A-levels, got ABB. It's not crazy, you know, it's not 4 A stars or 3 A's, but it was just enough to get to law school. And then when I got to law school, I really started running through it and just really trying to apply myself and elevate myself. And fast forward 5, 6, 7 years later, here I am, and I managed to secure pupillage. This video is sponsored by Lexstery, the first free online community for aspiring lawyers pursuing a legal career in England and Wales. Inside the community, you will gain access to our courses, legal career consulting programs, forum, free resources, and live events, which we run every month, covering a range of topics, including legal applications, legal interviews, advocacy events, and we host guest speakers from across the legal profession who share their tips and tricks on how to secure a training contract and pupillage. You can sign up for free at lexstery.com, and we look forward to welcoming you inside our legal community. So for anyone out there who's doubting themselves, just believe that you might not be it today, but you definitely can be it tomorrow. Grades aside, I went to a state school, a good state school, but nevertheless a state school. And from speaking to people who went to private schools or grammar schools, the reason it's relevant is because you might not get public speaking exposure that you might get in these other types of schools. So from that respect, you're already on a back foot. And then I went to a red brick university, not an Oxbridge university, but again, a good university. But what surprised me about the university I went to, and I've spoken to fellow students who attended as well, is that 3 years law school, not once was it ever really mentioned that there was another branch to the profession, that the bar was even a route. It was just assumed that everyone on the course was going down the solicitor path. So there was a lot of obstacles and a lot of things that I needed to overcome to even make this possible. I found out about the bar when I was doing my masters. Someone said it to me, someone mentioned it. I'd heard enough that got me interested enough to actually decide to attend the National Pupillage Fair. For anyone considering the bar, highly recommend this. It gave me a lot of insight into the profession. I got to meet barristers, I met with different chambers. It was held at Middle Temple, so you get to see the inns of courts, and it's all very enchanting. And I remember leaving thinking, this is what I want to do with my life. This is the career that I wanted to pursue. And ever since then, without knowing it, my journey to the bar had begun. The problem was, and I found this out very quick in the beginning, is I had no experience, I had no contacts, and I had no idea what needed to be done to scale this mountain. From the very beginning, might not have been said to me directly, but through interactions with different people or different experiences, there was a feeling of, oh, you want to be a barrister, do you? Good luck. Initially, it wasn't coming from an insecurity that I had about, oh, maybe I'm not good enough to be a barrister. It was just coming from beginning to immerse myself in the world, see what this world consisted of, who it consisted of, and having very subtle reminders along the way that only the very, very best belong here. And you're not human if that doesn't have some impact on your thought process going in. Now, up until this point, it was all just very subtle, very indirect, just a feeling. And I remember applying for my first mini pupillage, and I got a letter back, and I'm going to post it up here. So pause the video, give it a read, and basically what this letter said, it politely outlined what the statistics of success were, and I could appreciate the warning the letter was trying to deliver. But I remember understanding the tone of the letter. That's what stood out to me. And I will add that I read this letter 5 years ago, and I reread the letter again recently, and I got the same feeling of the tone that was being expressed in the letter. And the letter basically was referring to non-Oxbridge universities as lesser universities, using language like squeal and just, it was very degrading towards the place that I'd come from. And in essence, it said, don't bother, don't waste your money, you don't belong here. And I never managed to forget that. And to be honest, it completely boiled my blood. It infuriated me that I was being told in an indirect way that you're not good enough. And I used that as fuel to really light a fire within me that said, I don't care what anyone says, I am going to pursue this with everything I've got, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. And honestly, I look back over the past 5 years and I thank the person who sent me that letter, because they had a part to play in giving me that drive to get over the line. As you can imagine, after all that resistance over the years, when that email finally came through a couple of weeks ago, it's a moment I'll never forget. It's a feeling I've never felt. And that's because when you're going through it, it's like your whole future's riding on it. That's how you feel in the moment. You know, you've got this goal, this idea, and you've invested your heart, your soul, your energy, your being into it. And you just keep coming up against this wall, and you just, no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to knock through it. And it's soul crushing, it's ruthless, and it's an emotional roller coaster from the beginning to the end, of highs of confidence and then lows of just doubt. So to get to that place where I finally just kick that door in and I'm on the other side, liberation is the only word that I can use to describe how I felt. I felt like the weight of the world had finally been taken off my shoulders. And looking back on the experience, this is what I do want to say, is that I put this post up on LinkedIn about the letter that I described previously, and there was split feeling with some people. Some people would say it's not about, and I agree that it's not all about how hard you try and how much hard work you put in, because this is not university. This is not a game of, well, put in the hours, you'll put in the work, and success is a foregone conclusion. There are other factors at play. Luck is a massive element. And why? Because you could be at a final interview. For example, you end up speaking about rugby. Guess what? The panel member, he's a big rugby fan, and that just sets the scene for you having a really good interview and you get pupillage. So luck is an aspect, but equally the number of pupillages available, the size of the market is incredibly small, and you're up against the very best of the best exceptional candidates. And I think the message is to say, Whilst I remain unconvinced by what was said on LinkedIn by some individuals that letter, there's nothing wrong with it, it's a good warning, I'm not convinced. There's nothing wrong with telling people about the statistics, and people need to know the statistics. However, everyone is different. You should make your own assessment through exercising objectivity and being self-aware, knowing your own circumstances, whether or not you can make the climb. And that is your right and your decision to make, and no one should ever tell you that you can't do something. Never let someone's opinion of you become your reality. And that is something that I live my life by. And other than that, guys, you know what it is. See you at the next one.